All right, we are going to be reading chapter 17 today. It is written from the point of view or the perspective of Ravi. So let's remember what he's been dealing with at his new school. And I think we're going to read about some interesting stuff today. When Amma comes in to wake me, she has red chilies and salt in her hands. Sit still, Ravi, she says. I'm going to take away the kandrishti, to the curse of the evil eye. Even though I haven't said a word to her about how badly things have been going for me at Albert Einstein Elementary School, somehow my mother has figured it out. The kandrishti is what's causing your problems, Raja. I'm sure of it, she tells me. I tried to hide my feelings yesterday when I returned home from school. Amma and Parima picked me up at the bus stop, bombarding me with a million questions as usual. Did you show your Vedic math? Was Mrs. Beam impressed? Did she comment on how nice your notebooks look? Did you enjoy the vegetable biryani? Leave me alone, I begged them. That was my mistake. For the rest of the afternoon, Amma and Parima chased me around the house, offering me food and drink, hoping to pry some information out of me. What's wrong, Ravi? Amma kept asking. Has something happened? Parima even threatened to email Mrs. Beam if I didn't tell her what was bothering me. There was no way I could tell them that I had been laughed at, disrespected, tripped, ridiculed, and forced to eat my lunch in the resource room with the very person who had tripped me. Amma would have been heartbroken. So I faked a stomach ache and went to bed early. Amma clutches the salt and chilies tightly with both her palms and slowly circles them around me 3 times clockwise. Then runs downstairs and throws the potion on a hot skillet. There's a loud crackling sound and the smell of burnt chilies fills the air. I knew it, I hear Parima cry. See how they crackle? Ay-yo, didn't I tell you things would be difficult for us in America? People are jealous. That's what it is, jealous of our Ravi and his superior intelligence. If only she knew what they really think of me at school. I get dressed and go downstairs, where Amma has made 2 soft idlis for my breakfast. Wait, first take this, says Parima, shoving a spoonful of pink medicine into my mouth. It tastes horrible, but it's my own fault for having faked a stomachache. Everything is going to be okay, Ravi, Amma says. I've baked some naan khattais. My favorite cookies. The flavor is off, sniffs Parima, tasting a crumb and wrinkling her nose. You put in too much rose water, Roshni. Amma sighs. I can tell she is biting her tongue. You'll see, Ravi, she says as she carefully places the last crumbly round cookie in the box. Mrs. Beam will be impressed. The naan khattais are for Mrs. Beam? I asked, surprised. I know just how to win teachers over, Amma says confidently. Offer the cookies to her first thing this morning. You'll see how things improve after that. Appa comes in carrying his briefcase. Listen to your Amma, he tells me. Remember, she has the black tongue. Amma has a birthmark on her tongue, and in India, a black spot on the tongue means that you have magical powers. This may sound like a silly superstition, but believe me, when Amma says something is going to happen, it always does. It's 6:58. The bus will be arriving in 2 minutes. Amma puts on her favorite blue sweater, picks up her sari pleats, hoists them just above her ankles, and tucks them in at her waist. Slipping her bare feet into a pair of rubber sandals, she rushes towards the door. But Appa stops her. Let him go by himself, Roshni, he says. He's 10 years old. Parima is sitting on the sofa, dipping his biscuit in his morning tea. Parima hands me my tiffin box and my jacket. Don't forget to tell Mrs. Beam the naan khattais are homemade, my mother calls after me. And remember to eat your lunch. I made a nice curry with okra and chickpeas, raita, and a flask of buttermilk too. Good for your digestion. 2 boys from my class are sitting in the front row of seats on the bus. One of them is Keith Campbell, and the other is named Tim or Jim. I'm not sure which. They nod to me, and I nod back. I wish that Dylan Samreen rode on my bus. Pramod and I used to ride together and crack jokes the whole way to school. I find a seat near the back of the bus and sit down. Carefully balancing the box of cookies on my lap all the way to school, I stare out of the window, wondering if my mother can be right. Will the khandrishti healing and the homemade naan khattais help to turn things around for me? When we arrive at Albert Einstein Elementary School, I look up at the American flag flying on top of the silver pole. I think about my own flag with its blue spinning wheel at the center. Each of the 24 spokes represents a virtue. Mrs. Aaron had a list of them written on her wall, and she made us memorize them in order. I think about number 2 on the list. courage. Number 13, righteousness. And number 14, justice. Be proud of who you are, I hear Parama's voice say in my head. Remember where you come from. I take a deep breath, straighten my back, and step off the bus. Bigfoot is standing near the door when I reach room 506. As I walk past him, I keep my eyes on his giant shoes. I will not allow him the pleasure of tripping me again. When I present Mrs. Beam with the cookies, she smiles. In fact, she beams. Ha! How sweet, she tells me. Amaz Blacktongue was right. Thanks to the non-kaitis, I have won over Mrs. Beam. Even her eyebrows seem friendlier today. We'll begin our morning with silent reading, she tells the class. Following that, you'll go to gym. Things are looking brighter for me already.